everyone, my name is AK, I'm the Swashbuckler, and these are my adventures. So today I'm going to be talking about my top sewing tips, and if you guys don't know, I design clothes, and I'm working on a clothing line right now that will be kickstarting hopefully sometime this fall/winter. So basically these are just a collage of things my mom has taught me, things other seamstresses have taught me, and things I've discovered on my own. And I hope they help you all out. Alright, number one is when a pattern is almost your size but doesn't quite fit right in an area, or if you just have that one size and you need to enlarge it just a little bit. And a lot of times when that happens, when you just need to add like a ½ inch on a side seam or an inch or something, when you add it, the shape of the pattern loses its form. And that's because when you added it and you cut it, it didn't cut exactly. And so here's my number one tip for enlarging patterns. Okay, so if I had to add a ½ inch to this side seam, then I would use my ruler and I would mark out a ½ inch all the way down these pants. Now what usually happens though is if I just try to connect these, my line is not going to be original. It's not going to stay the same as this one. But if I keep those and I slide this over, then when I cut, this seam line is going to be exactly the same as the original pattern, and there's not going to be any, zigzags, any missing parts, and it's all going to fit together exactly like if you didn't add anything at all. Okay, so the next 3 tips are for hand sewing. The first one, my mom told me this and I thought it was very interesting. If you have one of these tomato pin holders, she's not sure if they sell them anymore. I think I've seen them places. Basically this, which I thought was just there for decoration, this little, I guess it's a strawberry or just whatever this is full of sand. And basically what happens is a lot of times you'll get rust on your pins or your needles, and shoving them through the sand actually takes off the rust. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you have rust. Number 3 is no, not hand sewing. No, not hand sewing. Not as in K-N-O-T. If I didn't spell that right, I'm going to be extremely embarrassed. I spelled that right. Basically, there's the generic way, and then there's the way that I grew up with, and I didn't actually know it wasn't the generic way until I was talking to my mom about this video. So normally what we would do is, I'm sorry if this is not in focus, but just putting one thread in like so, and then we would take the end and we would have to knot it, and that usually pulls through pretty fast. I'm not in focus in here at all. We'd have to knot that. Now the way that my mom taught me is to put the 2 ends together and take this looped side, put that through the needle like so, and then let me get a piece of fabric. When you put it, let's say you're sewing 2 pieces of fabric together, instead of knotting it and having it pull through the fabric over and over again, you go through, you pull all the way to the end, but the loop is still there. You go through the back, and then you go in once through the loop, and twice through the loop, and then you pull it taut. And that knot is not going to come out, and it's not going to pull through the fabric. Alright, number 4 is another one I have to give credit to my mom because I saw her doing it, and that was actually the inspiration for this video. I thought, wow, that's so unique, and then I was thought, wow, why isn't everybody doing this? So this is for hand sewing down bias tape, and she uses it for quilts that she makes, and you can use it pretty much any other time you're putting a lot of bias tape down. So usually in this situation, what would happen is you would have to pull the bias tape over and you would hold it or pin it and then whip stitch it at the same time. Now you can do that, but when I saw my mom doing this, I thought it was so brilliant, so I have to show you. Basically, these are just hair berets, or barrettes, sorry, and you lay your bias tape down where you want it, and then you just clip it closed. And whip stitching this is the easiest thing ever. Number 5 is pattern mashing. Now this happens a lot with what I do. I design clothes and I actually use patterns to create the clothes that I want. And so a lot of times I will take a lot of different patterns and I'll put them together. So this is just one example. If you guys want a more detailed video on how I do what I do, just comment down below and I'll try to work on that. I'm still working on my editing skills, by the way, so that's why a lot of my videos are very, very choppy. But this is just one example, so you can kind of get the idea of how I do that. It's different for every situation. This is probably one of the easier ones, but I hope it helps you out. Okay, so for this one, I have the basic pant pattern. I'm going to be making like a jumpsuit sort of thing. The video on that is coming soon. So I needed a basic pant pattern, but I didn't want the pant shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a skirt shape on top of this. So I took the pattern, the pant pattern, and I traced it out, and I'm going to take that away now. I hope that's coming up on camera. I think it is. And then I'm going to take my skirt pattern, which is just a simple A-line skirt, which is the shape that I want. And this right here is the center front, so it goes where the pants center front, which is off camera right now, but it's over here. I line that up. And I line up the waist. And usually I would pin this, but it's just quick to show you what I'm doing. And you see how this chalk line here was the original shape, and now it's out here. And as it goes farther down, again, it's off camera, and I wish I could show you guys, but I can't. It goes out like an A-line skirt instead of down like a pant line. And so now I have the shape that I want, and basically what I would do is I would pin this, and then I would cut this out, keeping the pant shape, here, keeping this pant shape, the yoke right here. Ah, where are you? It's so hard to see on camera. Okay, right here. This, whoa, that's way down there. Okay. I would keep this, but on the other side, I would keep the A-line shape. And hopefully that makes any sense at all. Hemming. Okay, literally, I will be so happy to be almost done, and then I'll remember that I have to hem. And that is the worst realization of a sewing project, because I hate hemming so much. It never turns out even. There's always like puckers or creases or parts where, you know, the fabric folded and you stitched it down. It's just a complete disaster. Well, about 2 or 3 years ago, I was making this Civil War dress for my mom with some friends. And the pattern actually, so thank you Simplicity, the pattern actually had this in it, and it made so much sense. I was like, why doesn't everybody hem this way? And ever since then, I have tried to do this as much as possible, mainly with circular skirts, or circular, you know, parts that need hemming, because straight hems are from above, because they're the easiest things to do. But if you have a circular skirt that you need hemming, this is the way to do it. Okay, so this is the pattern I'm working with. You can tell it's vintage because it doesn't have any ink on it. And this is the hemline right here. This is the bottom of the dress. Now, if I was going to hem it the way I'm talking about, I would need to use tracing paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this out real quick, and then I'll get right back to you. Okay, so now I've traced this out, what I'm going to do is whatever hem that you want. So if you're going to turn it in, you know, obviously probably more than an inch, so I'm just going to do 2 inches here. It's kind of trippy watching it through the camera and then watching it in real life. It's a lot brighter on camera. So basically that line is going to end up being, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm going to cut along these lines, and then this right here is going to become a pattern. And then I'll get right back to you on what happens next. So if this was your skirt piece, it's obviously not, but if this was your skirt piece, the normal way would be to fold up 2 inches, and I'm just estimating this, and then pinch together the excess and sew along. And that creates these sort of puckers. It's really hard to keep everything nice and crisp. With this little life hack slash trick here, so this is the piece that I cut out by measuring 2 inches and making my own pattern piece. If you take this and you put it right sides together, it lines up flush with the bottom of your skirt piece. And if you were, I'm just going to put some pins in, but if you were to sew that together, then when you fold it under, you have a crisp seam, and then you would just stitch this piece down. Alright, this one is a little bit different. I wasn't even sure whether to put this one in there. It's about ironing, and I found this little kind of trick that I don't know if it's just my fabric or if it's the way that my fabric was or the way my iron is. It may not work for everybody. I've never seen anybody else do it this way. Basically, when you have a crease, there's like a crevice and there's like a point, which like a mountain and a hillside kind of thing. And what I found is that it's a lot easier, it goes faster if you go from the point down versus like trying to flatten the crevice out. I don't know if that makes any sense, but here's the video clip of me doing it. So we can either iron down the crevices, which you'll notice take a little bit longer, and they're still there, or you see these points here, like the tips of the mountain, we can iron those down. And you see how they go away? A lot faster than ironing down the crevices. And then we can flip it over and do the other side. And they're practically gone. Alright, the last one is number 8. I was trying to do 10, but I ran out of like really good tips to show you. But this one's pretty simple, and you're obviously already doing that, and that is YouTube. I have learned so much. This past week I had to find out how to put a zipper slide back on the zipper tape, and I didn't even know those references until last week, and I learned how to do that. Just look it up on YouTube. And if you haven't been doing that, just any problem, literally any problem, there's somebody on YouTube that has tips, tricks, something that you can learn to do. Literally, I live on YouTube. So that is my very last tip. I hope this video was helpful. I hope that you guys found something in it that maybe you didn't know, or maybe I was just entertaining to watch. I can dream. I hope you guys are having a great day, and that's it. So see you next video.